Welcome back to your Bestie in Freight podcast, where we talk about logistics, business, mindset, and all the wild things in between. I'm your host, Lida Hakopian, former truck driver, freight broker, and your go girl for all things freight, branding, AI, and business growth. Our guest today is someone who brings equal parts fire and heart to everything she does. She is a co-founder and CEO of Apex Transit Solution, a powerful advocate for trucking industry. Marina Ivanov grew up literally riding alongside her dad, an owner-operator during summer breaks, which is like very exciting as a kid. That early exposure ignited a passion that would later shape her journey as a founder, leader, and voice for change in logistics. So Marina, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here. I know it has been a long day for you, but how are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you for having me, Lida. I'm glad we finally get a chance to connect. I met you at the Women in Supply Chain, and again, congratulations on your award. That's so exciting.
Thank
And
you.
just hearing your story, I was like, this is the woman I want to know and connect with, and so I'm so glad we're here. Thank you for having me.
I know, I know. You are one of the, few ladies that I stayed in touch after the conference. Of course, I follow a lot in LinkedIn what you do, but I know that you are advocating for mental health and community within women in manufacturing in North Carolina and pursuing legislation that protects truckers, right, from towing practices. So we're gonna talk about all of that. So my first question would be, as I mentioned, you have been riding with your dad in truck growing up. So what do you remember as a kid? Because I believe it must be one of the memorable summer memories, right, in your life.
That's a great question. And it's funny when you started asking that, I immediately remembered the bad. And isn't that interesting how our negativity bias is so strong? But I also remember just, there was, like you said, there's so many positive and great things about it. It's the opportunity to really connect with my dad and to understand him a little bit more and what he goes through. I think that's what gave me a caring heart for my drivers. I got to see how hard they worked, how much they were mistreated at shippers a lot of times
Yes,
just because maybe he had an accident and didn't understand something. A lot of times he would be treated as subhuman, or the breakdowns and the stress. And of course, those were the days of the paper logs. So I just remember paper logs hidden everywhere. It's just like,
yes,
and
yes.
how we're sleeping, but he's driving. It is to advance the load so he has more time at home. And seeing the sacrifices that he made was probably one of the most powerful impacts on me and who I am as a person. But a lot of the great things were just the beauty of America, and seeing,
Yes.
we lived in Rochester, New York at that time, so going from New York to Washington State, driving through Montana and the big sky, and going to California, all these places that I've never been to before, and being exposed to the different landscapes was probably one of my favorites.
Yes, I love it. That was one of my favorite too as a truck driver. So what was your favorite snack when you were a kid from truck stop?
Should I even say it? It was sandwichki. Well, seeds were something that we always had. We were,
Sunflower seeds,
the
right? I
traditional,
know samachki, of course. We
yeah,
grew up with
uh,
samachki in
exactly. But
Soviet
traditional
Union.
Ukrainian family, we did not buy a lot of snacks from the truck stop. You bring it all from home, and and so,
Yes.
honestly, we didn't. What about you? Did you have a favorite snack from truck stops?
Well, to be honest with you, no. I was trying to cook or just go to restaurants. I was trying to stay away from truck stop food because I didn't like it. And that was the first year that I moved to America. And as you know, it takes time to adjust the American food. But the only thing I would love is that banana bread and lemon bread they have. And I would always drink tea with that. That was my favorite thing from truck stop.
It's making me
Yes.
hungry.
Yes, I know, right? It is like 5:15. So,
Yeah.
yes, Marina, so you have been part of Apex from the very beginning. What was the hardest moment in those early days and what kept you going?
There's so many hard moments. What kept me going is just this sheer will. Like, I'm not going to give up until I can't go anymore. And I think this industry requires a lot of that grit because it's not easy. And you just want to give up at certain times. You're like, why am I doing this? And then you remember your why and the passion behind it. And you know that it's not just about you, it's about the families that you help support. And it keeps me going. Some of the hardest moments were probably in 2015 when we only had 2 trucks and both of them were broken down and it was a $40,000 repair. Having no financial resources to cover that, we didn't factor at that time. And so we were at the brink of like, this is not going to work out. But I told my husband, who was at that time, that I'm like, that's not going to happen. We're going to find a way. And we opened up a bunch of credit cards, asked people for money. I remember calling the dealer and telling them, you're going to take a payment 4 different ways because I'm going to put $7,000 on this credit card, $3,000 here, and I have no shame. It's just like, this is what it is. Get my truck rolling again because we got to start making money and get back out of it. And we came through. That was probably the first real big hurdle, and just I remember that so clearly. And then in 2020, when 50% of our customers have shut down, and now you are all scrambling with everybody else to, for whatever freight is available, and the rates are just abysmal. And what I had to do at that time was just find every opportunity I could to survive, which is loan deferment, PPP loans, and just unwillingness to give up. My kids were at home and I'm working in the closet, and so they're not bothering me. But it's just one of those days that was like, that was so hard, but it was so worth it. And then probably the third hardest time is right now. I'm sure a lot of trucking companies can feel my pain. It is just really, really hard to survive right now. Our costs have risen because of all the craziness of COVID, but the freight rates are below what they were before, and it's just, there's a certain point where you don't know if you're going to continue, and we've found ways to be more creative to try to cut costs, bring up revenue. There's just so much you can do, right? It's just so very limited. Yes. And so this is probably the hardest fire, because it's been so long, and it's getting harder and harder to pull out of it, to just be positive every day, like it's going to be okay, we're going to get through this. Some days I don't even believe myself when I say it, but that's the honest truth,
Yes. It is just logistics with stages. I can so relate, especially up to 5 truck. If something happens to one truck, or then something happens to the next one, it's like, okay, why everything happens at the same time, right? Just let me drive, make money so I can pay off the debt that I have, the fuel, the salary. It is just so much.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes. So, but we're gonna survive, Marina. So I know that you have worn almost every hat, like from operations to HR, sales, pricing. How has that hands-on experience influenced how you lead today?
I think it's invaluable, honestly, because sitting in that room when we do a sales call and operations, we just talked to you earlier about it, I can understand how one decision impacts everything. So an example of that would be the freight that we're choosing to get, or we're bidding on something. Yes. How does it affect the driver, the operations, even the accounting team? I can make a decision from not just sales and revenue bringing in, I make it from the whole entire ecosystem of our company and what works and what doesn't work. So it's helped me to make more decisions that are based in evidence versus of the emotional decisions I can make, like, oh, this is a great customer, it's a big name, and it's a good revenue, but actually that freight doesn't work for us as a company, and I can make that more educated decision versus one of those where I'm like, keep coming. Yeah. And also I can relate to everyone on my team. I can relate to my recruiter when she brings me a problem and saying, hey, this is not working. I know how hard it is to bring in drivers, so I can relate to my safety team because I've handled safety. I've booked loads, which is probably one of the worst things like what I hate doing the most is being the dispatcher. It is hard.
How many trucks do you guys have now?
We have 85 trucks.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I have a big heart for my dispatchers.
I can relate to that part too. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And I've brokered too, so we have a brokerage as well. And so I've started it, and I'm the one who found the trucks. And I have a team now, but before it was just me. And so I can relate to every single individual member on our company. Even the accounting, I've done all of that too, so I can get. And if something happens to them, I can just fill in
Yes.
Understanding is really important for me. The only thing that I don't understand right now is hard for me, and I'm glad I have a team, is technology and EDI, and I
Yes.
pretend like I do, but I just need an IT expert on that. That's the tough one for me right now.
Yes, for sure. So, Marina, I know you have been vocal about the importance of mental health in this industry, especially for women, because we are like more emotional creatures. Can you talk a little bit more about it, why that's so important to you? And I know you also like go to some group meetings in North Carolina and how you are creating space for wellness and community.
It's a great question. Don't know how deep I want to get into, but I feel like everybody struggles with something. No one has got it all together, and our social medias can kind of fool us into thinking that everybody's got it and I don't. And so, just like everyone else, I've struggled in my own mental health and have gotten help and have learned what works and what doesn't work. And gratitude is just the biggest thing that has changed my life. Finding a positive in every little situation. Our truck gets into an accident, instead of complaining and worried about, oh my gosh, that was this is that. I'm like, thank God, everyone's alive. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful that everybody's okay. So that helps me in my mental health. But why it's important to me is just because I see how many people are struggling, especially our drivers as well, women in the industry, where I felt alone a lot in this industry, being in the role that I am. And Mental Health Awareness Month is May, which I'm so glad that we're doing this today. And I've partnered on an advisory board for women in manufacturing. I was the chair of the Women in Trucking. And so once I had stepped down from that, I'm like, I want to do more. And so
I
I
like
love
that.
being a supportive voice. It's nothing like a community that can help someone along. I've seen how mentorship and community, especially for women, has changed lives, and it drives me. It is one of the reasons. It's my why I keep going. That's one of the reasons why it's so important for me.
Yes, I love it, and I can definitely relate. Like feeling lonely, feeling that you cannot talk to your regular friends because they don't understand what you are going through. They are not in logistics, or if they are in logistics, they are also having these issues, right? So now you're
Yeah.
gonna you tell your problems, they tell their problems. Like, let's find a solution and see how we can be in a better space. And I love the fact that you said gratitude, prayers, right? And seeing everything in a good way. As long as everyone is alive, we can fix it eventually, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And another one that I was trying to prepare the questions. I love the fact that you recently helped champion a bill that bans booting commercial vehicles in North Carolina. And I know that's huge. So what pushed you to take action, and what is the outcome? What does that victory mean for drivers and companies like yours? Can you please share more?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked this question. I'm insanely passionate about this, which is so weird because it's like booting of commercial vehicles, but it is a big deal, and no one really understands how big of a deal it is, and until you deal with it one on one. And I've become an unofficial person that everyone calls when something happens, and I hear the stories. And we have an anchor here in Charlotte with WBTV, David Hawkins. I forgot his last name, but he is. Has a bunch of stories on this as well, and I've connected with him, and just seeing the daily, day-to-day fraud and I don't know if the word is like extortion, the predatory nature of it, and it's in our backyard, and it's happening to us. It's happening to trucking companies all over, and
Yes,
I just have a soft spot for truckers and trucking companies because we go through so much.
I
There's
know.
so much liability. There's all of these things that are against us, and it's just one more thing, and I feel like the industry will crumble if you just keep adding more and more challenges to us. Like, give us a break. Like, let us, like, and the ELD mandate came out, right? You have to park exactly where you have to
Yes.
park. You have to stop when you're out of 11 hours, but you can't stop on the shoulder. You can't stop here. There's not enough parking. You park somewhere where you're not supposed to,
Yes, and
and you're
everyone
booted.
is
And
just
it's,
charging and charging, and like eventually, like you don't even have profit some months, right?
yeah, because
Yeah.
of that, and so, and even the injustice, the unfairness, justice is a really important core value of mine. I think it's important to be fair to all humans, and one of our situation I mentioned, I put it on there. It's like our driver went and got a sandwich at Bojangles. 11:05, they come in, they close at 11 and they boot him. And now the police officer tells them to uncouple so they can tow his trailer, even though he's right there and he can move. And that just, the absurdity of that situation to me just makes me mad. And it's also exciting, honestly, Lida, to be part of change, to see
I would
progress
love to
happen.
be part of that change. I'm not sure if they do it in South Carolina, but I experienced firsthand this situation. I tell you, I can relate whatever you're talking. When I just moved to America, it's supposed to be our wedding when I was getting married, and they towed our truck the day before our wedding. Like,
Oh my
and
God.
now, like, what we gonna do? And we had to pay $1,000 to get that truck back. We were company drivers back then, so I know how hard it can be. It is just so much.
That's awful. I'm sorry to hear that, especially right before your wedding. It's like
Yes,
so
right
extra.
before our wedding, the day before.
Yep.
Florida is also very strict with that, regulations, and I have even heard that there are like big people that regulate that system. I don't want to use that word, like, but there are people behind it that they have all the power and authority, and they are allowed to do it. So I'm so glad that you are advocating for trucking companies and for drivers, because as you say, like, it is just like so many stuff that they just don't let you like breathe. But we are one of the most important factors in logistics industry, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
I would
And it's
definitely love to be part of that if I can find out, or if you can advise me how to reach in South Carolina, because I haven't seen what they are doing in South Carolina.
Well, next time we go to our call, like state calls, we go to Raleigh at least twice a year, and then we bring up those and we meet up with our representatives and we get to build those relationships. And now I email them any stories that I have. We get to know them and tell them this is an issue and we need your help supporting it. To have a bill passed, bipartisan, 187 people said yes. Democrats and Republicans means that we've done our job, from the North Carolina Trucking Association, from the volunteers. All of this is volunteer. This is I have a company to run, but I also care about our community and what the future of trucking is, because this is not, for me, this is a legacy business. I want to pass it down to my girls, and I want them to have a future that is viable, right? That they can actually survive in, because it just seems like the squeeze is getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
And there are times where I'm like, are we in the right place? But I remember why I love it so much, and I'm like, yeah, this is
Yes,
right.
I
I'm
love
supposed to
it.
be.
So, Marina, there are so many people talking about leadership as a title, but you seem to lead from experience, compassion, and from being in trenches. What does leadership really mean to you?
I'm actually taking a 6-week course on this right now, and I've been studying this for a long time, and I still don't know if I have the right answer to that. I think it is very individual, and from my perspective, leadership to me means doing it with heart and compassion and caring. Like, when you care about something, you will already be a good leader for it. So that's what leadership means to me, is caring for my people and taking care of them, giving them the space to make good decisions, giving them autonomy. That's really important for me, that my team knows that I trust them to do the right thing. And there's different levels of leadership with micromanagement and all of that. I try to think I'm not a micromanager, but so it's hard for me sometimes when I care about, I'm like, how did this go? How did that go? And I get in their business all the time, but it's more.
Yes. You just need to find that sweet balance, right? But I
Yeah.
know what you're saying. But from what I understood, I think you are more like servant leader. You want to help and you want to be compassionate, which is amazing. That's what we
Yeah.
are missing in this industry most of the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that distinguishes my leadership style is that I always, always listen to the two sides. I've been burned before where somebody comes in and it's like, and I'm like, yeah, I get all riled up. And I just have to say, okay, I heard you. Let me talk. Let me see what happened here. Let's connect. Let's review. And if you find out there's always more. People have their own biases, their own perceptions. They view the world from their own experiences, and what they see is not exactly what happened. And getting to know both sides of the story and not judging or jumping to conclusions right away has been really helpful for me in my
Yeah.
business and leadership
I
style.
love it. I love it, Marina. I know we talked already a little bit, but it is not easy to show up for others when you are tired, stressed, and overwhelmed, and yet you do because you have to do and you have a mission. So, how do you take care of yourself in all of this?
I wish I had a really good and honest answer. It's like, yes, I wake up early and I do this and I do that, and I'm all honestly like I'm just doing it day by day right now, and I'm okay with that. I understand that right now this is the time to hustle, and it all comes in seasons. There's seasons of you just work really, really hard to build something up, to build people up, and then you can step back a little bit and watch it kind of flourish and flow, and that's I think what some people are missing. We have a lot of focus on either fully hustle culture or like work-life balance, and it's not ever that. You can't just go on 100% all the time, and you can't always have work-life balance. There's times like we're doing this after hours, right? Because
Yes.
that's the only time I had available. But I do think it's important to share my story and also share what's going on with the towing reform, so more and more people hear about it, and
Yes.
it spreads the word. So it's just realizing it's not going to be perfect. Have grace for yourself. If I planned to do this today, I didn't. I did the best that I could, and just say I did the best that I did today. Tomorrow's a new day, and
I love it.
just
One day
showing up.
at a time, right?
Yes, yes, that's been my goal recently.
Yes, I love it, Marina. So now let's go to fun rapid fire questions about tracking to just make our mood better before we wrap up. So, um, most underrated skill in logistics.
Oh, I don't know if I can do this rapid fire. Most
Okay.
underrated skill in logistics. Oh, um, being able to stay calm even in the most strangest situations. Like I'm sure you have stories where you get calls and you're like, "What just happened?" You're like, "Okay, all right, let's just keep going." Not losing your cool, so staying calm in like really weird situations that, like, I don't even know if I want to talk to you about it on air, but maybe off air I'll tell you some of the stuff that I've seen and with
Yes,
drivers, with receivers, with all kinds of stuff.
yes, I hear you. So, one word your team would use to describe you.
Haha. I just talked about it late. I'm gonna say as a joke, dragon lady.
Dragon
It's a
lady?
joke around. It's a joke around the office. But probably caring would be a word that I get a lot. People know that I
Yes.
care.
What gives you hope in this industry right now?
Not much. Just kidding though. What gives me hope is seeing change, seeing that it's happening, that there's progress, and knowing that we can be a part of that progress. That really
Yes.
gives me a lot of hope, knowing that your voice can matter actually, and showing up and telling your story makes a difference.
Yes. So next one, manual locks. I know your dad had manual locks or ELDs. Which one gets your vote?
Uh, honestly, I would like to have more autonomy for the driver to choose what's best for them. Where, sometimes the ELDs are creating the issue with the truck parking right now because everybody's doing it at the same time and they have to stop by the clock. So I would pick option B, C, instead of
See,
where the driver has. I
option,
like
right?
ELDs, and of course doing it through a computer is the best way to do it.
Yes,
But
because I have like experience. Some drivers they love driving early mornings, wake up early, like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. and drive. But because of this ELD doesn't give opportunity, and some drivers love to drive at night.
yeah,
I like that.
absolutely. It's just more options for the drivers. Have them be in that decision room where they make decisions on what are the hours of service, how does it look like. More flexibility would be huge.
Yes. Marina, the last question. What is one piece of advice you will give to women entering in logistics or already in logistics?
I ask that question a lot, and one of my like advice I wish I received earlier is knowing that being a woman in this industry is actually your superpower. It is not a weakness,
Advantage,
and I
yeah.
had believed that it was for a long time. I was a young woman in the industry, and I thought that being a woman meant that, like, who's going to listen to me? like, what do I know about trucks and trucking?
Yeah.
And there's so much more to this world than just trucks. It's the relationships that you build, and I know a lot about that. I know how to talk to people. I know how to connect with them. It's about how you treat people, and I know about that as well. So it's just knowing that you have your strengths that are very unique to you that nobody else has. Take your time to hone in on your strength. A lot of people are spending too much time focusing on their weaknesses and trying to change what they're not. So an example I give is just being on the baseball field. If we are trying so hard to change the pitcher into a catcher, that's not his strength. Like, focus on what you're really, really good at and like go with that. I've for the longest time wore too many hats, and I should have let go sooner. But accounting is not my strength. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should be doing it. So sales is my strength. Honing in that skill and really, really putting my efforts into that instead of trying to build up my accounting skills. Yeah. So if to recap all this like run-on sentence that I said, is just to know that it's your superpower, find out your strength, put all your efforts into it, and go after it. It's really up to you how far you can come. And you get to decide. You're your own limiting beliefs. You're blocking yourself from getting farther than you are, and that's what happened to me. It's my limiting belief of thinking that being a woman was a weakness that has held me back.
Yes,
So,
I love it. I love it. I can relate. You are talking through my heart. Thank you so much, Marina. I'm not gonna make it any longer than this because I know this is after 5 p.m. But thank you so much for sharing your heart and your story, being so authentic. I know you're tired, but you are proof that tracking isn't just about freight. It is about people, purpose, and pushing forward no matter what. So I'm so grateful we could have done it, and I hope to do it again maybe next year if you get like more stories and more regulations and more events going on. And we will stay in touch. Thank you.
thank you, Lida. Appreciate your time.